podcast Repousser les limites. Votre animateur, JF Dussault, s'entretiendra avec des athlètes d'endurance et collaborateurs qui gravitent autour de la course en sentier et bien plus encore. Abonnez-vous, partagez l'épisode et bonne écoute.
Bienvenue à Repousser les limites. This week is a very special week. I do have a woman that did a top 10 at UTMB a few weeks ago. She's been very consistent on podium and top 10 in the last few years. She's a professional athlete trail runner. So, Emily Hawgood, thanks a lot to accept the invitation and welcome on the podcast.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Yeah, that's my pleasure. So my first question is mostly every time the same. How did the sport come into your life?
Yeah, that's always a great question. And it's definitely, been asked a lot of times. And so over the years, it's been fun to kind of really think on that one. And yeah, for me, trail running has kind of always been a part of my life. I started running when I was really little. Like my mom ran around the farm in Zimbabwe in the evenings, and me and my brother would tag along and follow on bikes or play with the dogs, or, we were there barefoot running like with my mom, and she was looping back to find us from as long ago as I can remember. And then I went to boarding school at the age of 5 years old, and we all ran cross country. And our cross-country courses involved running on trails and running on dirt roads. So all the way through high school, I've been running on trails and dirt roads and everything. And when I came to college, that was a little shift for me, shifting over to cross-country courses, being around golf courses and things like that. And definitely I had to start wearing shoes because we were doing a lot more road running at that point. And then when I graduated college, I met my coach, and he told me that he had athletes and that his son ran in the mountains. And my heart kind of just jumped at that opportunity. And I was like, please, can I do that? That sounds amazing. I'm from flatland Zimbabwe, but put me in the mountains.
Nice. So that's normal now that you're living by running.
Yeah.
Cool. So now you're more based in California, I think so?
Yeah.
Okay.
Based in California. Yep.
Okay. So congratulations for UTMB a few weeks ago. That's
Thank
amazing.
you so much.
I think
Thank you.
You finished 6th.
Yep.
Nice. So that was one of your best performance at UTMB?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. Congrats. So it was great weather, I think, so compared to Tour des Géants.
Yeah, compared to Tour de France, it was amazing. It was very much a different year from the past couple times I've raced. This year I never put my jacket on, and every other year I've frozen at night out there. The first year I got snowed on, so that was just a completely different experience this year, to just have the humidity and the heat and just be out there and kind of like comfortable and hot throughout.
Okay. So what was your first trail running official race?
My first race was Ultra Trail Cape Town, the 65K.
Oh yeah, that's a classic one.
Yeah.
With the Ultra World Tour.
Yep, exactly. Yeah, it was still on the Ultra Trail World Tour at that point. And it was perfect because I wanted to go home for Christmas, and so it was the perfect stop on the way back home.
Okay. So it went good?
Yeah, I loved it. I remember the only thing I remember from the race was getting to the end and calling my mom and dad and saying, I found my sport. I found what I wanted to do.
Okay. So did you jump like fast on ultra, or you did run a lot before?
No, so when I started working with my coach, so before that race, we had a very serious talk. I think I joined when I was 24 with him or so. Is that right? No, but earlier than that, 23. And we
Okay.
kind of sat down and we definitely like talked about kind of the risk and the reward of jumping to ultra distances really quickly. And we decided like to fill the toolbox with the skills of running shorter races and more technical races and all of that. And for me, it was just getting used to being in the mountains. I've never really been in the mountains growing up, so it was a whole new area to learn how to trail run, which was really fun. So I started with the Skyrunning World Series, which is a shorter, more technical, more intense type
Okay.
racing. Even though I knew kind of the endurance side of things was my strength. And it took a while before I ran my first 100 miler. I did run my first 100K at the end of my first year, but kept it
Ah,
very
that's the
limited.
same race, I think so, the Cape Town.
Yes, yeah, exactly.
So 1 year later, basically.
Yep. 1 year
Okay.
later, yep.
So you did feel comfortable on the distance?
Yeah, I loved it.
Okay. So you prefer long distance than shorter at this point, I guess?
At this point, I love both for different reasons. I love the short stuff. I've loved working on my speed and ability to move on the trails fast, whether they're technical or smooth. And I love the long just because it opens another door of training and racing and using different parts of the toolbox.
Okay, okay. So have you ran marathon races before?
I have ran one marathon, two marathons, I think. In
Okay.
college, I was at an NAIA school at the College of Idaho, and at our nationals, track nationals, we have the marathon event. So that's where I ran a marathon.
Okay, did you enjoy road racing or
Yeah, I mean,
endurance? Yeah.
it was still track, like college track. So I wasn't really road racing. And we just took a little period of time to, do the half marathons to qualify and then ran a marathon. And then I jumped to triathlons, so I didn't really ever get the road running experience.
Oh, okay, okay. So you did triathlon too?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yep. And I would do, yeah, half Ironmans and full Ironmans before I started the trail
Okay,
running
okay.
road.
Okay, so how does it win the triathlon for you?
It was really good. Yeah, I kept missing out on Kona, which is the world championship for Ironman triathlons by a spot
Yeah, that
every time
was
I did one.
yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So, I mean, I was doing really well, like definitely in my age group. I think I got second twice. Um, and I can't remember what the half marathon was, half Ironman was. But yeah, I was doing well, but I wasn't really enjoying the bike and the training. I wasn't in the most ideal place for safe training grounds on the bike.
Okay,
And
okay.
yeah, so I wasn't enjoying it as much as I enjoy trail running now.
Yeah, and yes, biking or swimming could be complicated too. Like trail
Yeah, and
runnings, that's easy to manage. You have shoes, but yeah,
yeah, yeah.
it's
And I
kind
was a swimmer in college too, so I had access to the pool when I was training for
of
my
okay, okay.
triathlons, and I love the swimming part. But yeah, the bike, it's way different traveling for a trail race over traveling for a triathlon.
Yeah, of course, eh?
Yep.
So what was your, I bet your favorite part of triathlon was running?
I liked both the swim and the run.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think my strongest suit was probably the run, and also it being the end. I do really well in the swim part, and then I'd kind of drop back a bit on the bike. And then it was fun because then we finished with the run, so then I could catch back up with the running.
Okay, okay. Cool. So, I see you did a lot of 50K before to jump on 100-mile races.
Yep. Yeah.
So, did you prefer to work comfortable on 50K, 50 milers to build your progression?
Yeah, I really liked doing the shorter distances, and I still incorporate both distances into my training and racing plans just because I think they're very beneficial for the longer distances too.
Yeah, okay. So what did it like a normal training week for you, like when you prepare, for example, for UTMB?
Yeah, so I mean for UTMB, well, actually for any race, I have like 2 speed days, like a midweek builder type day. I have a cross training day every week and a full recovery off day every week, and then a long run or 2 long runs each week, just depending on what cycle I'm on.
Okay, okay. Did you focus on mileage or quality effort, or that depends the blocks you're focusing on, I bet?
Yeah, it kind of depends on that. I mean, obviously for UTMB, getting off a Western States training block allowed me to focus more time on just being in the mountains and getting vert.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay, cool. So do do you think it's hard to do Western State and UTMB in the same season?
Yeah, definitely. It's a huge accomplishment to achieve both and train for both. Any 100 miler is a lot on the body, and figuring out how to do both and get your body to show up for 2 big 100 milers is huge.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And to be on the top of your farm too.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. One of my
So
biggest accomplishments.
so what would be your best advice for running first 100 miler?
Oh, your first 100 is pretty special. 'Cause you don't really know what you're gonna feel, and you experience things you've never had before for staying up that long or running for that long. So the more you can be in the moment and just appreciate kind of everything you experience, I think is the best. Definitely eat even when you don't feel like it, because you will get to the point where your body's like, I don't want to eat anymore, but you gotta. You still
Yeah,
need to run. So that's
yeah.
probably my biggest thing is eat even when you don't want to.
Okay, cool. So I'm running my first 100 milers in 2 weeks and a half. So
Ah,
that's good. I'm gonna remember this.
yeah, and then always keep moving forward. Even if you have to walk, that's okay. Just keep putting one foot in front of the other.
Yeah, to embrace those moments too, eh? It's part of
Yeah,
the day.
exactly. Yeah. Good
Cool.
luck.
Thank you.
Which race are you running?
Is mid-state massive ultra trail in New Hampshire.
Oh, wow. Amazing.
It's kind of a little bit obscure race that 200, I think, runners for 100 miler, but that's
Good.
good. That's a little old school race.
Yeah, no, that's exciting.
Yeah, and it's point to point, so that's the
Even
exciting.
better.
Yeah, yeah.
Yep,
So,
for sure.
um, how went your first Western state?
Yeah, it went really well. I loved it. Yeah, I love the trails, and now they're my home trails and my home community out here. So uh it was the best getting to experience it. It took me 3 golden ticket races that year to get in. So
Okay.
I was just grateful every single step out there to have gotten my spot.
Okay. So there was hard for you, the first one. Did it get easier every year, or it's still very hard?
Yeah, I mean, things just change, so it's as hard each time. Yeah, and there's been different challenges with every year, like either the,
The
very
heat
hot
with
and
the
hot,
canyon, yeah.
right? Or last year it was snow on a lot of the course, so that was a different challenge itself. This year, like super speedy field. I mean, every year is speedy, but this year especially.
Yeah.
Yeah, so every year it just kind of changes a little and it brings its own challenge, which is cool.
So do you perform good on the heat?
I do like the heat. Yeah, I love it.
Okay.
Yeah, from Africa, I think it's kind of part of my blood.
Yeah, of course. That's contrast for me. I'm more like October race. It's perfect. It's a little bit more fresh, and
Yeah, that'll be so nice. Hopefully you have perfect conditions.
yeah, I think so. So how how does it was your first UTMB? I think it's in 221.
Yep, 2021. Yeah, it was an amazing race. Very very big race. I thought the first time I went around that mountain, 107 miles is a long way to go. Um
Yeah, of course.
and yeah, and that year was very much extremes year. So it snowed on me at 2 a.m. And then in the middle of the day, it was 85 and 90 degrees. So I had the very big extremes. And yeah, definitely the furthest I'd ever run and the most vert I'd ever got in one shot. So there was a lot to learn. The longest I'd been awake, it was 28 and a half hours it took me. So it was, yeah, an amazing day. Yeah, lots of learning out there.
So what kind of learning on this race?
I mean, from everything, you discover how, to run for that long and how to keep fueling to make it possible to move forward. Um, just being able to climb and descend even when your legs are really tired. Staying awake for that long. Uh, you know, running at 1 or 2 in the morning, those sort of things. Obviously dealing with the cold and then dealing with the hot. Yeah, there were lots of learnings that year.
Cool. So, what was your favorite edition for you, the UTMB?
Oh. Oh, I think so far my second year was one of my favorites. But like I think probably because this last year has been so recent. So I
Yeah.
still remember all the parts of it that didn't feel great. But I loved this year too. I loved my first year because my first experience. Yeah, it's so hard to answer that question.
Cool. So, what course for you is more tough if you compare Western State or UTMB?
Completely different courses.
Yeah,
They're not even the same length.
but I bet Western States is a little bit more fast.
It's faster, yep, but not any less intense than UTMB.
Cool. So, did in 2021 was your first Western State and your first UTMB?
Yes.
Wow. So, how does thing works for you that the two line up in this year?
Sorry.
Did you were prepare this, or it happens like, oh, the two line up this year?
Yeah, I mean, so that year, like I said, I was doing my golden ticket races trying to get into Western States.
Yeah.
And I always had UTMB on the calendar, and then it was just if I can achieve and get a golden ticket and get my ticket to States, then obviously I would take it for that year and run States and UTMB.
Okay, okay. So, what is the biggest challenge in the UTMB? Have you seen any difference like the UTMB now and your first year?
No, I mean, UTMB has changed hands in terms of like Colombia was the sponsor my first year, and then now it's Hoka. Nothing too crazy. I think UTMB as a whole has grown our sport a lot. Like there's a lot of, UTMB races around the world, and they all have a very known standard, which is kind of cool. So like if you sign up for a UTMB race and you go there, you know what quality you're going to get, which is
Yeah.
a nice thing.
Yeah.
And for me personally, it's, professionalized our sport. And so I've managed to get my professional athlete visa last year, mainly due to UTMB making it a worldwide known sport and having results. And, we're professionals, we get paid to run. And so that's really exciting. I think it's grown our sport a lot. There's obviously speed bumps along the way that comes with that. But yeah, overall, I think like I was saying before we recorded, every year I get to stand on the start line and see 10,000 people in the same place that love trail running.
Yeah.
UTMB must be doing something right.
Yeah, of course. And congrats for your accomplishment. That's nice that it's helped you to push you forward on the sport.
Thank you so much.
So, how does it feel for you to be a sponsor athlete?
I am always really, really grateful. I always like remind myself that this is what I love, and I would do it as much as I could, even if I wasn't a sponsored athlete. It's my passion. I really love it, and I am just really lucky that my passion became my sport and my job and what I get to do.
Nice. So, what recommendation you would say to one athlete that's want to be more get sponsor now?
Yeah, that's quite the question. Just because like obviously when you become a professional, like it's your job, just like any other job in the world. And so knowing like what you want out of that, like balancing all the things, nutrition wise and all that stuff, like knowing what things you need to buy to be able to make it your sport, like gas money to get out to the trails where you want to train, kind of your time commitments, those sort of things, just as you would approach like a normal job. And
Yeah.
having those same things. And I think the biggest thing for me that I've learned is finding the right community to be a part of before kind of you search for a sponsorship. That's really important. The people that surround you are going to push you to be your best. And so if you can find a group like that and hopefully work your way into being supported to be able to do that, that's kind of my key focus for anyone who wants to get into the
Nice.
sport of.
Excellent. So, is there some pressure with this sometimes, or you manage good with this?
Yeah, I mean, it kind of depends what your focus is. Like,
Yeah.
why are you running? For me, it's my passion. And so, sure, there's, pressure if I want to get money at an event or anything like that, or I don't know. But like I said, I try and keep my core at this is what I love to do and I get to do it right now. And I want to push myself to the best I can be. And if today my best is not on a podium or on a podium, hopefully I can have the same excitement at the end of that.
Okay, excellent. What was your favorite ultra days now at the moment?
Oh, like I said, every race is so different. Probably because it happened this past weekend, but the I'm Tough 100 miler up in Idaho Mountain Ultra Trail Festival
Okay.
happened just this past weekend, and it was the first 100 miler I did in 2020. And it was the first race that opened up after COVID. And so it had the most competitive field it's had before there. And it was the first time I got to be back racing with my friends in the mountains. And I think it was like a huge celebration that day of just getting to be back out doing what we loved. So it definitely, yeah, probably takes the cup of being my favorite race.
Yeah, that's good memory associated to this race too, eh?
Yeah, for sure. And like being the grounding, my first one, that was pretty special.
So is there any race you didn't race that it's on your bucket list?
So many.
So is there a special one you could talk about, or it's you prefer to keep them for you?
No. I mean,
No,
I have been
there's
putting
too
in for
many,
Hard
yeah.
Rock. Yeah, I've been putting in for Hard Rock for the past 5 years, I think. So
Yeah,
hopefully one year I get to run that one.
okay.
There's so many like amazing races out there, and probably ones I don't even know of yet that I really want to do.
Okay, cool. So what is your perception about you? Do you think that you would like to try out on 200 milers one day?
Probably before I even thought about doing a 200 miler, I would hop into like a multi-day event. I
Okay.
think I really like the aspects of being able to recover between hard efforts. And
Mhm.
I think that would be the next challenge of just like putting those skills to practice. Like how well can you race really hard and recover and race really hard for multiple days at a time?
Yeah, yeah. Is there any race you have in the target for the future, or it's just like,
No, yeah,
no?
nothing yet.
Okay. So, so do you go back in Zimbabwe every year?
Yep. Yeah. Every year.
Okay,
I love
okay.
going home. My family's still there and we own a farm out there. So it's always nice to go spend time out there.
Okay, is there some local race there?
Yeah. There was just a race this weekend called Run Yanga in Zimbabwe. I had my mom and three other athletes racing, which was really fun. And the trail running community in Zimbabwe is growing a ton. So that's very exciting, especially getting athletes off the road just with kind of the risk of being on the roads. Like we have really bad traffic over there and potholes and drivers and so
Okay.
I'm excited that more people are getting out on the trails. And then in December, there's a race called Skyrun Zimbabwe that friends from my school days put on every year. So that's
Nice.
exciting. Yeah, and then there's like a full trail series now. I think there's 5 or so trail races throughout the year within that series, which is kind of exciting too.
Okay, okay. Have you run those races?
I've run a few of them. My mom puts on a race at our local club
Okay,
called Gajima's. So I've run that a lot, a
okay,
16K and a 8K, I think. And I've run those a few times growing up and everything. And then I've done a couple of the trail races, just if it works time-wise. And then I've done the Skyrun Zimbabwe. I did it 2 years ago, 3 years ago, the 56K. And then last year I ran with my mom the 21K.
okay, okay, nice.
Yeah.
So, do you have any recommendation for people that want to progress in distances?
Yeah, take it slow. Like there's no rush to jump up to a big distance. Keep the joy alive. And if you know, finish a 50K race and you're still very, very happy and excited about running, then maybe try a 65K or a 50 miler. But keep that joy alive for sure. It's probably easier to keep it alive in the shorter races because in the bigger, longer races, there's a lot of chance for lows to happen. Um, and so you want to make sure you're as excited and you can get through those lows as you progress into the longer distances. And as you learn and discover more of the sport and your abilities and just things that you want to control, I think you kind of want to take that as you grow in distance and grow in your time as a trail runner. Don't just completely jump to the long races.
Perfect. That's excellent. So there's a special race you run in Quebec in 2019. It's called Uthc 125K. Congrats for that. I saw you won this race.
Thank you. Yeah, that was like really cool experience to get up there. That was my first and only time in Canada.
Okay, okay. So how did it win this race?
Yeah, that was a really unique race too. I think we started at 2 a.m. in the morning. I'd never started at that time of day.
Okay.
It was a point to point, which was pretty cool too. It was kind of wild because at every kilometer marking, they had a countdown of how many kilometers you had to go. It was the worst.
Yeah, it's I did run the 65. I remember it's a little hard on the mindset when you have a down. Of course, yeah.
Yeah, for sure. But it was amazing. Yeah, it was a beautiful experience to get out there. I stayed with an incredible family while I was out there, and they kind of showed me different parts of Quebec, and looked after me. So it's super nice to meet people a part of the trail running community out there.
So you visit Charlevoix a little bit.
Yep, yeah, just a little bit. But yeah, it was really cool. I didn't think I had any idea of what it would be like. So it was really cool to experience what it is and where it is.
So what's your best moment of this trip in Canada?
Hmm.
Or what surprised most for you? What was most surprising?
Yeah, that's a great question. I haven't thought about that trip in a long time. I definitely think the family I was staying with was so excited to have me, and I was as excited to get to stay with them and just meet their family and explore their home. So it was my favorite, just getting really connected with people who actually live there, and they'd never been out to the trails either, so they came out, and that was special. And what I remember the most for sure.
Nice. So, how do you prepare your mindset for those kind of event? Is there something specific you are doing?
Nothing too crazy. I think, during a race, during training, you can discover the things you're scared about or the things you're excited about and trying to come up with ideas to, you know, get through the things that worry you when you're out there or the things that give you negative thoughts when you're training. If you can figure that out in racing and then apply it or training and apply it when you're racing, that really helps. And try and focus on the highs and maybe breaking down the race into small parts. So making it feel more manageable, even for the mind, not constantly thinking, oh, I have to run 100 miles, thinking, no, I just have to get to the next aid station. And just focusing that, I think, has become key for me.
Okay. Yeah, just get to the next buffet.
Yeah.
Eating. Next one.
Yes, exactly.
So, do you have any specific plan for the rest of the year or next year?
For this year, I don't have anything. I'm going home for Christmas, so that's my next thing. This week I'm going up to Idaho and going to be in the mountains for the month, so I'm excited about that. And I haven't even thought about next year yet.
Okay. So are you going back to Western States?
Yes, for sure.
Okay. Cool. So you're living in the area of the race, I think so?
Yep. I'm 20 minutes from the finish line.
Oh, wow. So
Yeah.
so did it help you compare to UTMB because you know more the races? More the race is like your backyard now?
Yeah, I mean, I definitely feel like it is, and it's been amazing because Adidas Terrex has made it possible for us to go over and stay in Chamonix before UTMB. And so I've had the time over the past 4 years to really discover that course and get to know it um, as well as here. It's a little different here. Like obviously here's 20 minutes away, whereas UTMB, you're traveling through 3 countries trying to see the whole course. But I mean, even here, you can't get on the first 30 miles for most of the year anyways. So yeah, both courses, as the years have gone on, I've got to know them all a little better, and that I really like that.
Nice. So what would be your best recommendation for someone that will run Western State?
Um, yeah, respect the mountain, respect the trails, respect the weather, and be excited to be out there with everyone who is as excited to run with you.
Okay, nice. So, thanks a lot for your time. It was one of my special English episode on a special series of inspiring women. So, thanks a lot for what you're doing in the community. Thanks a lot for inspiration. Lots of people, lots of women to move forward, to go on distances. And congrats again for UTMB.
Thank you so much. Yeah, I really appreciate your words and excited for everyone who gets to be out on the trails.
Thank you. So good luck for your future project.
Thank you so much, and good luck to you for your first 100.
Yeah, thank you.